here as well. All right. So thank you everyone for tuning in to Connected with CARI here this Saturday, May 18th. As you can see, I have an awesome guest with me this evening. We are streaming from Just FM, Just TV Lethbridge, the Underground Radio C platform. We are on Roku TV 101, the NCG Television Network in Italy. We are basically all over the world. So those of you on the other side of the world, we were just talking about you. Thank you for tuning in. I know it's early in the morning, but we appreciate all of your support and love. So as you guys may or not have seen the posters that I've been putting up, Harley Wallen is with us this evening. So thank you so much for coming on. This is just a pleasure to actually meet you and be able to have a conversation about, you know, what you do, who you are, the little projects you've been working on. Some may not have ever heard of you. So we're going to get into that. They know who I am. So if you could formally introduce yourself, that would be totally amazing. And what I'm going to do, don't think I'm running away. I'm just going to put you on a solo screen so you can hog the attention, and then we'll kind of be going back and forth a bit. All right?
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Well, my name is Harley Wallen. Like you said, I am Swedish, born and raised, moved here to pursue my goals and aspirations in acting, and a bit into it, I fell in love with writing and directing as well. So now I am a full-time filmmaker and actor, and I am loving it.
Okay, and as I say, that's it. Cut.
You're right.
That's all you need to know.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. We have to kind of elaborate a little bit on that. The introductions are wonderful and all, but again, how did you get into, what did you do first? Did you get into acting first? Did you get into, well, you kind of said you got into acting first and then into directing and producing. So how did you, like, what was the big deciding factor that you're like, yeah, I want to do acting? Was there somebody, like a mentor that you looked up to, or was it just something that you saw on TV or a movie and you're like, I want to do that? What was the aha moment for you?
Well, it's really interesting looking back, because I don't think that I realized it as it was happening. But my mom is always telling me these stories when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, and I was going to be the next Tarzan. I was going to be an actor. I was moving to America. That was what I was saying. But then my life followed a completely different trajectory. I was a martial artist, so I focused a lot of my energy into martial arts. And then as a teen, I started breakdancing with a couple of friends and got really good at it. And then one day I got asked to come on a TV show in Sweden as essentially background dancer. It's a variety show with these really cool guests. And I said, yeah, for sure. Good paycheck. You get to be on TV. That sounds great. But what they also did is we were already there. So instead of hiring actors for one-liners, they would come to us and say, hey, do you guys want to come and buy the tanning lotion on the show? And I said, yeah, I want to do that. And then I did that. And then I started hanging out with the actors. And then I started hearing the process of acting and getting into character. And I was like, my head just exploded, because I never realized how much goes into playing a character. And at that point, I just fell in love, because the same mentality that came from martial arts, of that you're always a student. It doesn't matter how long you do it and how much you do it. I mean, I'm a 5th degree black belt in judo, and I'm still a student, because that's how it works with that. And then I applied that same thing to acting, and then later on directing, just from that little experience.
Holy smoke. So you can like totally kick someone's ass right now. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. So the next thing I want to ask you is, as you were on the stage and you were learning things and going through everything, what was probably one of the greatest things that, just that you kind of learned through the process? I know sometimes, like you said, maybe it was the skills of a black belt where it's like you could take that and go, okay, yeah, I could totally kick someone's ass, but I can also use it for a good purpose and teach others through that process, right? So what are kind of some of the skills that, maybe it was what I just said, maybe it was the jujitsu martial arts skills that you learned, or maybe some acting skills. What has been, those big skills that you could say that you brought through every process of your life to this point?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's such a big question. But with martial arts, it was always, I wanted always to help people be able to defend themselves, because the feeling of being helpless sounds terrifying to me, and I am the type of guy who doesn't really worry much, because I am very aware of my surroundings, and I know that I know how to handle myself. And I wish everybody could walk around with that freedom, but I have a lot of friends who are not in that situation, and that's something that's hard. So I always try to give and help and teach that stuff, so that people can have more peace of mind. Because if the world is a big, scary place for us, then it holds us back from the full experience. But that's just kind of my personality. So when it comes to the acting and arts and crafts and all that stuff, to me, it's almost always about motivating and paying homage to those who came before us, that paved the way, and at the same time bring up the next generation and lift them up. And even though we're telling stories that are really, really serious, like the last film we did is about domestic violence, and it's just the kind of thing that will shake you up. It's still, what we're doing is still also just entertaining. So we gotta straddle the fence between giving somebody a break on the couch for an hour and a half watching one of our movies, or watching a movie and saying, hey, you know what? I want to do something about this, because it is insane that the domestic violence numbers are what they are in a free and clear country. That shouldn't be acceptable. And somebody gets off the couch and does something. I think that'd be a beautiful world. So
Mm-hmm.
paying it forward is big to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have to say that I totally agree on that point, because I think some people see it as, when you're not in the industry, not in film or acting, like I've done some acting myself and have kind of been behind the scenes just a little bit. But, most of all, I am a huge movie buff. I love movies. I love going to them, getting lost in the fantasy and having a good time out. But the thing is that when you are on the other side of the screen and you're watching it, that's the thing. We look for that escape and going away. But also, like you said, I think it's very important that we have these bigger topics in the world that do need to be brought to everyone's attention. Like I've seen films, on human trafficking and, like you said, abuse and all of these other major topics that people tend to shy away from. But I think now in today's society, it's become a little bit more open-minded to these situations, because, like you said, there's just more that's coming to light, that, okay, this has been happening for years and years, but it's like, now we really need to talk about it. And I think that bigger movie stars and bigger actors, and like yourself, you do production, and directors, like you guys have the possibility not to just show the silver screen magic, whatever, but you have the ability to actually make it very real and go, okay, this is the actual thing that's going on in the world. This isn't just behind the scenes. This is real. And you can bring everyone into that going, hey, this is what it's like in this situation. So when you're working with the actors, you kind of brought up that you will watch something that's been happening. So what is it like? Like, do you let them watch a film and go, okay, this is an actual, or do you like read reports, like police reports on these domestic situations? How do you get the actors to get into a real mode of what's going on in the storyline? How do you do that?
Well, I think the last film we did was Finding Nicole, and that one was super interesting because the woman that it all happened to worked and wrote the book essentially ahead of us, but alongside with me and our writer Jeff Calhoun. So we did it together. So she was there all the way along. So we didn't have to guess and do all this stuff. We sat down with all our police reports and we just went through, and we had to sift down this huge thing of all the documents and all the things that happened to her, and figure out what parts of her story makes a cohesive film where we can show what happened to her and how easy it is that this happened and how hard it is to get out, and maybe the system isn't fully working just yet. um, and the things that we poke at with that are so different from what we've done before. But having Nicole there was absolutely amazing because
Yeah.
she was with us on set every day.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine going through a situation like I've been through things myself,
Yeah.
but having to relive something very traumatic and wanting to actually give that reality to everyone else, saying, "Hey, this is actually my life, and this is what
Hmm.
it's like." So
Yeah.
I'm sure she probably broke down on set a few times. Um, did you have somebody there for mental health support?
Yeah.
How did that kind of work? And for the actors, what was, maybe let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah.
What was like a day in the life of it? And what did the actors do? Like, kind of bring us through that situation.
Yeah, so I mean, we spent a lot of time with this, especially knowing, how sensitive this matter was. So we had table reads, we had one-on-one conversations, and we did a lot of work ahead of time to make sure that everybody was really prepared when we were actually filming. And then on set, we had a psychologist that was on set, and then this film also has kids in it, and there were a couple of times where we had to shoot the kids' side of something and not expose them to the actual side of the fight and the argument that happened. So we had a very nice strategy of how to keep everyone safe and how to people to get to talk about it and feel through this, and even Shamari, who plays our not such a pleasant character. It was very, very hard on him as well. I think it's very easy to understand how it's hard on the victim, but to find it in you to go through this and being the perpetrator was also a really hard journey, and took just as much work.
I bet you there was like a lot of hugs on set after each little
Yes,
take. Like, I don't mean to
yes,
do this. I love you.
yes. Yeah, and
Oh my
then
goodness. Oh,
whenever we got a little bit, it got a little bit too sensitive. We had a little girl group of the girls kind of hanging out together, and then I would take Shamar and we'd go for a little walk, and then just keeping it, because this was kind of, it felt like a passion project all the way through, and I haven't
oh,
told a lot of people this, but I was a victim of domestic violence as a kid. My stepdad and my mom had uh, kind of a crazy household with some of this, and I dealt with being the kid who gets kind of in the middle of this, and I was always ashamed and embarrassed, and I never said anything about it. And when this film came across, and my lawyer introduced this woman who was writing a book, who Netflix contacted about the rights to her story, because they were making a documentary about it. The fact that here she is sitting here pitching to me to make the film of her life, I was
yeah.
blown away. How did this find me? It feels so purposeful, and like it was meant to be.
Mhm. It's so crazy, I think, just like how the world works like that. I
Yeah.
think we're totally given a purpose in our life to be able to help others. I know I have. And like, that's one of the purposes of doing all my shows is,
Yeah.
like we were talking beforehand, my main platform is Underground Radio C, and I, do underground artists, underground, whatever. But it's not just bringing to light what the business is or the music is, or, your films and things like that. As much as it's a wonderful thing to promote it, it's the stories that are behind it. It's the personal, it's the personality into it, the vulnerability of it all, because that's where it really hits home for all of us. It's like, okay, you may see your biggest, your favorite star on the street, whatever, and you're just beside yourself. But at the same time, they've got a story that you could probably relate to, or someone that then you guys probably, like you said, it's you and Nicole, two peas in the pod. So you could relate to a lot of the situation and go, I'm sure you didn't have to put a lot of spin onto it, but I think because you were directing it, that you could have more passion into it and be like, okay, you want to tell more of it. And I think you can do that, right?
Yeah.
What are some director kind of little tips that you put into that movie to make it just like, if there was camera angles, or like you said, you did the kids shots and then you did the adult shots separate. But what was like that magic moment that really tied it together, would you say?
Yeah, so me and my director of photography, Nolan Elias, who shot the majority of that, and Steve McLaren, we would always talk about the subliminal messaging of how the camera speaks. So when we were in the beginning of the story, we really wanted the audience to some degree fall in love alongside of her with this young guy, because what happens a lot of the times is people go, why doesn't she just leave him? Because they don't get how you get into these things. It's a complicated process, and all of a sudden you're there, and now you have all your friends and everything is intertwined, and it's not so easy to get out. And I think we believe in our self and our capacity to reach the other person, to make them stop hurting us, and we end up taking that route. That's at least what it looks like to me.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Getting into that, I think too, when you have domestic violence going on and you don't know the background of it, it's again like it's hard to let people know, okay, there's narcissism, there's, like you said, there's just abuse overall. There's a whole bunch of different types. And I think people have to kind of educate themselves a little bit. There are a lot of red flags out there that some people, like when you are truly thinking that you're in love with someone, everyone goes through that first love stage and you're blind to all of like the little quirks and this and that, whatever. But, I remember, it's just someone that that's close to you. So keep an eye on your friends. But if you see something that is off of the other person, or, your friends aren't acting the way that they normally are, that's sort of when to kind of gently maybe pull your friend aside and just say, hey, like, is everything okay? Like, give them a safe space to actually talk. Because sometimes maybe they don't understand, they don't see it, but just that, like, I had someone just kind of mention to me my situation. I was like, holy, I didn't even know. So it's just an outward view sometimes of what's happening. And that's sometimes a big thing. Like you said, it can just be the way someone's talking to you. It could just be that you're being isolated. There's different things. Like if you notice, your friend used to be all bubbly and always going out, whatever, all of a sudden they met someone, the love of their life, but they're always, you don't ever see them. Something could be wrong, but just to reach out in a safe way. There are ways to do that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a wonderful topic. I don't want to go too deep into it because it can be one of those things where it's awesome.
It almost takes the air out of it.
It does. And it's like, there's so much other things I want to talk to you about because I think it's important. However, going back to that real quick, it is a very important topic.
Yeah.
Do your research, love your friends, your family, make sure that you have a very loving and supportive community that you are with. Yeah. And yeah, and if you're with a partner, like whoever, make sure
Mhm.
like they are very loving and supporting, because that's what you
Yeah.
definitely need in your life as well.
Yeah.
So I think
And
that's
then
important.
let's teach our kids to
Yes.
be kind and decent, and loving and generous. Like that. I think those are important things to do. We do that all the time. We talk about at the house every day about how to be a good human, how important that is, and how everybody out there is having their own day. And if you can just shine a little bit of light on the people that cross your path today, maybe you could make someone's day, and do something that they desperately need. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the perfect way to do it.
Exactly, right? And that's what
Yeah.
we're here to teach, is especially to the children. They need to know, because
Yes.
in this world now, I mean, it's so much different than it was like 5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Everything's kind of switched, and everyone's more
Mm.
like, mental health is a big thing these days. And
Yeah.
kids generally don't want to, they're not outside as much, and they don't get that, same, I don't know, publicity,
Yeah.
whatever you want to say. But
Yeah. No,
yeah,
it's
like
a
they're just
different
not out
world.
and about as much as
Yeah.
we used to
No.
be. So
Yeah.
they don't have the same people skills as,
Yeah.
they're used to being online all the time, which is fine. But, get them out there, do things, go watch a movie. That's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say.
we're really lucky. We're in a little Pleasantville neighborhood where there's a ton of little kids all the way around us, and they're always out playing, and it's really nice to that this still exists, because I didn't really realize that this was still a thing. But our neighborhood, their kids out playing in the little cul-de-sac,
That's good.
all times of the day, and our girls are out there, with them. And you can do that whole thing of go out and then come home when it's time to eat, and then go back out, and then you got to come home a half hour before bedtime.
Right before the sun setting, and the
Yep.
whole street hockey, and move your
Yep.
nets for the
All
cars
that.
and all that. Okay, good.
All
I love
that.
that.
Yes.
I want to keep that alive, because
I'm
I think
so
that's
fortunate with
so
that.
cool.
Us and our girls. It's so perfect.
Good. Okay, keep it going. Keep it going. Teach them,
Yes.
keep it all across the board. That's what you want. So,
Yeah.
okay, going back into more of, your film history. I
Mhm.
want to know, because you've got a whole list. Okay, list a whole bunch of things that you've been in. Okay, like let's just do 10 to start.
All right. Well, I'll go backwards. So I was in a movie that's called Final Recovery, that we just shot over the holidays. That's going to be coming out these next holidays, with which is a horror movie, a holiday horror movie at that. Beneath Us All, which is a really cool vampire story. The Devil's Left Hand is a really fun character. I shaved my head and had a big old scar across my face. Ash and Bone, probably our biggest one, big hit horror movie that probably most have seen. And then you go down Betrayed, the human trafficking thriller. We had the TV series Tale of Tales. That might be one of my favorite roles right there in Tale of Tales. Had a chance to act across from Tom Sizemore in a film called Abstruse, and that was really cool. Across from Billy Wirth in Eternal Code. That was also a blast. And then Tara Reid in Bennett's Song. I think that puts us at 10.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's good. You went for most recent down. Okay, because I wanted to ask you, but you kind of touched upon it, that Tale of Tales was probably one of your favorites to play.
Yeah.
So go into that a little bit and tell us why, it's one of your favorite. What's fun? What's it a little bit about as well?
Yeah. So I play Nick, and Nick is this kind of a low life mobster who just kind of walks to the beat of his own drum. It is in the direction of the Ozarks and Breaking Bad and all that stuff. It's a guy who's just kind of looking out for himself. He's paid his dues, and now he's trying to figure out a way to embezzle enough money to move to the Caribbean, or something like that. And he runs a strip club, so he's quite the interesting, colorful character, because all kinds of bad stuff happens at his club. And then we find out, with the trouble on top of that, is he doesn't actually own the club. His brother owns the club, and his brother is on his deathbed.
Oh
So it
no.
is it is the kind of role where you get to color outside of the lines a lot, and that's fun.
That's got to be a lot of fun. Okay. So who in all of your acting days, who has been like your favorite person to work with?
Oh God, that's so hard.
Or top 5? Because I saw your Instagram post and I know you have a hard time listing your top 5. So now I'm going to give you your top 5.
Top 5 of yeah, that is so true. Oh my God, that's hilarious. You know, I'm terrible at that. My top 5 movies is like 20 films. My wife always makes fun of me. Top 5 people that I've acted across. Tom Sizemore definitely kind of just like he was such a natural. I remember because I directed the film and I acted across from him. And I remember looking at him, the difference in seeing him in life versus on the screen. It's two different people, and I don't understand how it works. It's not the same guy, and it's amazing that somebody has that level of screen presence where on screen they're bigger than life. And that was Tom, and I loved working across from him, and I'm so happy I got that opportunity. Um, I also love John Savage. He's so iconic. So to get a chance to be across from him, and one of the opening scenes of the film, going toe to toe, face to face, that was blew my mind. And he's another one of them that he just commands the screen. So just to be on that screen with him was magical without a doubt. So that's somebody that I really, really, really enjoy. Um, Another guy who kind of blows my mind at times is Richard Tyson. Here's a guy that plays all these goofy characters and everything else, and he's a Shakespearean real a real actor, an actor's actor. And the first time I worked with him, we just dove so deep into talking acting and the craft of acting, and his just commitment to that, and how driven he was to even get into this. So that was really, really cool. And then I think what surprised me the most was Scout Taylor Compton in Eternal Code. It was the craziest thing. We ended up having, actually were supposed to have Jake Busey play that role. And he got delayed on set. They had an accident on the set of Stranger Things, and he had to pull out of the film. And I had to replace him in hardly any time. And Scout came to the rescue, and we had to rewrite this because going from a guy to a girl on screen alters things, and it all worked out for the better. It was really, really cool to see her play a role that I've never seen her play.
Mhm.
She was so good in Eternal Code. I loved that.
Cool. That is neat. I think that's one thing I love about actors is just like you said, some have the actual theater background
Yeah.
where like they know Shakespeare. If you do not know who Shakespeare is, please go and just Google him up and you will be amazed at that. Like this is history in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, like over the last summer, I was in Ontario and I went to the Shakespeare Theater, and like I've got family out there. So I've been really blessed to kind of been grown up in all that, theater background. But if you have not seriously gone to the theater, go.
Mhm.
If you can go. I'm like, you will not be
It's an
disappointed at all.
experience.
It is.
Yeah.
Then you will get,
It's
if you've
like the
never seen a live
opera.
theater, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like it's live. It's like you could touch the
Yes.
actor, they are there, and it's
Yeah, they're
fun.
right there. It's very cool.
It is, and I love the audience participation. So fun, and it just
Yes, it
you never
is.
know what can happen if they flub up. It's
Yeah.
too bad. Like
Yep.
there's no rewind or cut or
Nope.
take again,
Nope.
whatever. That's
Yep.
the
You just got
coolest
to
thing.
keep going.
Yeah. So you loved when you got to work with your actor guy, which is so cool. I
Mhm.
mean, he must have. What did he teach you? What
Well, I
was?
think I think the thing with Tom was that you just, as an actor, you can't be in a hurry. You just have to, first of all, you have to trust the camera, and then you have to forget it's there, and then you just trust that it's going to find what's within you, and that you never have to chase anything as an actor. It, if you're just honest to the character, it'll come. The right lines at the right time happens when you're prepared and you're in character. So to just trust, I think trusting the process when you've done your work, I think is a big thing, because I think in your head you want to move faster. It's like if you watch a stand-up comedian, they always say that, if you're doing really well, slow down. If you don't think you're doing well, slow down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how it is as an actor too, because you're trying to say a bunch of stuff, and instead of trying to say so much, just be. A lot of
Yeah.
stuff can be said without all these words, with
Yeah.
just being.
Well, also on that note too, if you are okay, so if we're in a film right now, we're filming, we're having this conversation. If we were talking like this and we were going fast like this, and you were going and cutting at me and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't seem natural at all. You would know it's scripted. You would know like there's a camera, right?
Yeah.
So who of you go out there and go to a coffee restaurant and have, people talking blah 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 blah, and no, that doesn't happen, right? So it's the exchange of conversation, the exchange of movements, all that. What's like the favorite thing in film that you just love? Is it directing? It could be acting. It could be just like costumes. It could be set. What's just the most like you can't wait to do it every day? What's the favorite thing?
Oh God, I want to see it come together. I'm such a storyteller that my favorite thing is when the actors go, "Oh wow, you get that from this? What's on the paper? Like thank you so much. I didn't get that. Like wow, I didn't see that. Like that makes me go yes." I love seeing people get inspired and get it, and they were like, I did this seems to me was just A to B, and I never realized what you're saying, because the whole thing is it's just like when you're at the beach. If you can be really really present and you can feel the breeze and listen to the waves and the birds and the people and a little bit of music in the background, it's all really really pretty and it's all so perfect. But you have to be present. That's the same thing when you're an actor. The more present you can be and the more true you can be to what you're doing, the better all that's going to be, the performance and everything else. And as a director, I get so satisfied when I see an actor just go, oh, when they start understanding what they're doing, what's the full medium of their expression and living the character. Love it.
Yeah, that kind of aha moment, and really, like, I know some actors that when they get a role will do the whole, they'll shadow someone and go, okay, like, so say it's a doctor, they'll go in and shadow them and be like, okay, what do they do? How do they act? This, that, whatever. Do all of your actors do that, or some research? What is the usual for your guys?
Yeah, so I think each method is kind of its own thing for each actor. So some people really almost put on their character from the outside. So they find the clothes that they want for the character. They find the gait and their stride. They find their attitude and how they speak, and then they go internal. Some people start on the inside and say, "This is who I am. If this is who I am, what do I look like? What do I talk like?" And you go that route. So there's not one way to get there. I think the biggest thing is you have to do all that work to prepare for a role. But then the coolest thing is right before you start filming, you got to throw it all out, because when you and I had this conversation right now, nothing is prepared. It's not like you sent over questions ahead of time. So we had to think on our feet, and we had to interact. And that's what acting is. But if you've worked really hard, the lines are going to come out and you're going to be your character, and that's going to be super true. But you're not thinking about it, because you and I aren't thinking about this at all right now.
No. I find like I said, when I first started my business and doing everything, I did script some questions. And
Yeah.
some places, like I'm trying to get another charity cause to come on and talk about what they do, because I saw one of their presentations and I loved it. And I'm just like, they're like, well, what kind of questions are you going to ask? And I'm like, well, I can give you a few, but the thing is that it's really hard because, like I said, I even have a couple more that I do actually want to ask you, but I don't like to go off topic and be like, okay, hey, what's your favorite color when we're in the middle of a conversation, because it's just not natural. And I think that's how it should be. And I think actors should be the same way. Like, how would you interact with someone, and how would you have a discussion with that person, and how would your character, my character, how would they get along and just have that chemistry? Because that's what it's about when you're on the stage and you're watching. I love the chemistry of really good actors. And sometimes I love the chemistry of actors that don't get along and they have to get along. And you're like, nah, and you see it and like in real life, they clash, but then they get along on camera and you're like, okay, they pull it off. That's really good acting. But sometimes you do see a bit of a clash and you're like, okay, because you're looking for it, right? So I don't like to do that. So it's not very cool at all. What is because I do have a couple of questions, because I was really interested though on the Painted Creek Productions. So this is one thing that you and your wife decided to do, and it's a huge production company. So I kind of wanted to get into how you guys decided to, the deciding factor on actually getting into that together. What was your moment going, okay, we love acting, we love doing this, and why did your wife go, okay, honey, let's do this?
Well, yeah, because she's crazy. But I'm blessed enough to be married to my wife, who was already experienced enough. She has a sister with 5 Emmys, so there was already kind of running in the blood there. So it made it a lot easier when I started telling her that I feel like this is something that we should probably do. And the funny thing is, when we started doing this was actually when we lost the film incentives in Michigan, which is where we live. And it's pretty interesting because a lot of people start making films because they add film incentives, and we started the other way around because I had just been in Batman versus Superman. I had a couple of scenes and I was really excited, and I was thinking, here we go. After all this of paying my dues, here starts the career. And I didn't even have to leave Michigan to do it. I could do a lot of roles from where I was at. And then they cut the incentives. And at the time, the independent film circuit in Michigan was not very fancy. So I was looking around to find any filmmaker that was working on something going somewhere, and I was having a really hard time. And I just made a decision that I was going to start doing this. I didn't really know what I was doing to begin with. I went to film school online to learn how to do this. My wife started digging in and getting an acting coach. My other partner, who started Caribbean Fury Productions, learned all the technicalities with the camera so he could be our very first DP and put some of these short films in the can when we started. But yeah, we just took a leap of faith and said, somebody has to make some good content that goes somewhere out of Michigan.
Nice. Because that's it. Everyone knows the big silver screen is always Hollywood and LA and sometimes New York and, Toronto. You get like the big cities. But it's nice to have, even nowadays, there's more indie films that are being produced out there, and they're getting into the bigger screen, which is great. What are some of the indie films that you guys did with the Painted Creek?
Yeah, so the very first film we did was called Moving Parts. It's kind of a whodunit, where you'd want to play detective. It has plot twist on plot twist on plot twist. So that was the very first one that we made as far as a feature film that you can find somewhere. Then after that, we made a film called Enigma, which was like a supernatural thriller. And that was really cool. We brought in TJ Storm from Hollywood, and he's become a great friend of ours since then. And then we made another film called Abstruse, and that's the one with Tom Sizemore and
Mhm.
Dennis Haskins from Saved by the Bell. So
Okay.
then we went to Bennett Song, which was the romantic comedy. It's really wild. The Bennett Song, we released that in 2018, I think,
Mhm.
and that film is still one of the most popular rom-coms on Freevee, 7 years later. It's so wild.
Wow. What is like, what's been the favorite genre that you guys have done? Has
I
there
don't
been a
think
favorite, or you're just like, I love it all? I'm just like,
I
I'm here to win it
yeah.
all.
I am one of them guys that if you look at my filmography, it makes no sense because I do so many different genres. To me, it's all about give me a great story to tell, give me interesting characters that's going to occupy an audience's mind, and then to make me happy, give me a moral dilemma that I can work with. So that if you want to dig a little deeper and think a little more,
Mhm.
um, I want to have that in my films as often
Yeah.
as I possibly can and make somebody think afterwards, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe they can become 1% better human from it. I don't know.
I like the challenge, right?
Yeah,
It's always a challenge. That's why I just always have different guests on my show, because it brings things out, and it's a challenge, and it's like, okay, what are they going to bring? Because I don't
mhm,
know what's going to pop
yeah,
up or whatever, and it's really cool and it's really
yeah,
fun, because I'm like, okay, what? And I love learning new things all the time. So
mm,
when you think outside the box, and I tell musicians too when they're on the show, I'm like, don't don't stick to one genre of music. Get
yeah,
outside the box and try different things, because you know, you could be one like great at classical, but yet you're like the hardest core rock out person ever in the
yeah,
world. Like, you don't know what could come of it. I think it's like the coolest things ever that could happen, right? So it
yeah.
is so neat. It is so neat. What is okay, your all-time favorite movie since you were a kid? And then we'll wrap up, because
Oh
I
God,
just want to.
I
This
think
was not even a question that I wrote down. I'm just like, I just want to know what your
yeah.
favorite movie was.
I think for me, favorite movie ever, probably The Usual Suspects. I love how incredibly well crafted that film is. The storytelling all the way through is just superb. The acting is incredible, and what they did, which a lot of films don't do well, but I like leaving out breadcrumbs for an intelligent audience. So if you watch any of my films with plot twist or whatnot, I always leave breadcrumbs. I don't like when a filmmaker makes a film and then they surprise you and there's absolutely no way you could have guessed it.
Mm,
That's rude. You need
yeah.
to leave some breadcrumbs so that I can figure it out. You can
Hmm.
try to fool me. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
least make me go, because what I love about watching a film like The Usual Suspect
Hmm.
is every time I watch it, I will see another breadcrumb and go, "Ooh, that was good. That was good. That was there, and I didn't catch it. Now I see it."
Right. The foreshadowing of a movie. And
Yes.
it's like right from the get go, like even okay, I love totally like opening credits of a movie where
Hmm.
they like, like James Bond movies, and they have like
Yes.
the storyline is sort of in there. They do
Yeah.
foreshadowing and they drop clues
Yeah.
and whatever. And I'm like, oh, and because if I've seen it once and I go back
Yeah.
and I watch it, I'm like, oh, like,
Yeah.
I never saw that. And it's so clever. And you're like, that's
Yes.
like the coolest thing ever. I love that.
Yes,
I
absolutely. That's
love that.
me.
Yeah.
Even like Fight Club is another one of them
Oh,
movie where you can almost go crazy going back because some of it looks like mistakes, but then when you
yeah.
think about it, that's not a mistake. That was intentional.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've ever looked into all the plot holes. There are
No.
YouTube videos on this that are crazy. But that's another movie that's very fun to rewatch, and it has a lot of things about it that makes it almost better each time you watch
Yeah.
it.
Well, the thing about Fight Club is you're not supposed to talk about Fight Club. So
That's right.
I'm not supposed but
All right.
look,
The first
kids, go
rule.
find out you didn't hear it here. Just go. That's like, I love, like Easter eggs and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I love that because it's just like, it opens up your mind a little bit more and be like, okay. And then you think the one character, like the whodunits, you think it's that one character. But then all of a sudden you're like, I don't trust the butler over here. He's been acting suspicious.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being the butler, but you're not like,
yes.
But they totally lead you along this other path. And you're like, I see what they did there. And you're like, oh, it's so good. Yeah, I love that.
That's
Absolutely
me. I'm in love with A24 as a company. I just watch everything they do, and it's very rarely that I'm not super happy with one of their films. I've been saying this for a year or two now that I will for sure find a way to direct something for A24 at some point, because our alignment in how we see storytelling is so incredibly on the same page. I can't wait to do something like that where I can really tell a story.
Oh, that'd be so exciting. So exciting. Okay. I don't want to have to stop our conversation. It's so good, but we do have another show after this to make sure if you guys are watching, Crystal Starnes is on next. But thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Please thank your wife and your kids for being able to have time away. I know how much family is very important to everyone. So please give them a hug and a kiss and thank them for me, because I think that's really important that they understand, like, I really appreciate your time and coming on, your energy and your love and just giving us some information and just being like, just having fun. That's what I love about it. So please let everyone know where they can find you. Everyone who's watching, please go and like his pages and don't stalk him, but just give him some love on his socials, please.
Yeah. I'm pretty interactive on especially Facebook and Instagram, I think, although I am on everywhere. And it's Harley, like the motorcycle, Wallen, Wallen. You should find me easily at all those different places. And please keep watching movies and try going to the theater every now and then. I know it's not super convenient, but it is an incredible experience that I hope we don't lose from getting too comfy on our own couches and the TV's getting so big. And we need more communal things where we're together. It's harder to become a divisive society if we hang out together. So let's hang out together.
Yeah, and it's fun in a movie theater because everyone does the ooh and the and then you're cheering for the good guys and go get them and all that fun stuff. And now they got only used to be theme parks used to have the 4D experience, but now the theaters have it. And I just watched The Fall Guy there, and I was like, this is great. Okay. And other people on Facebook were like, oh, we went and saw Dune. But all those action adventure ones when you're in the 4D, holy smokes, seriously, go support the big films because that's what it's all about. It's about the experience. Get away, take the kids, have fun, get your popcorn. I mean, you can't really eat during 4D, but do what you can. Have a hoodie with the popcorn in it, whatever works, it's all good. Thank you again so much. Keep making the movie magic. You're so wonderful. Please come back on again soon. I would love to have you back.
Thank you, Carrie.
I had a blast. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. Thank you everyone for tuning in this evening on Connected with Carrie. Harley Wallen was here. So please go like his pages, give him some love. Go watch his films. I mean, holy cow. Can you imagine just all the incredible stuff that he's produced, he's been in? So incredible, so amazing. Give him some love, please. Make sure you guys tune in to next week's Connected with Carrie as well. And please go like our socials as well, Just TV, Just FM, Underground Radio C. Please follow us, like, share, all those wonderful things. If you want to be a guest, please contact me. If you know someone that would make a perfect guest, please contact me as well on my socials, please. And have a great long May weekend. Yes, it was raining, some snow here and there, but try and get out if you can. Enjoy the time, enjoy your family, and stay connected.